My parents posted a family photo without me. The caption broke my heart, But before I share my story, please take a minute of your precious time to support our channel. Your support and love keeps us going. I'm Camilla, and today I'm sharing the story of Nia Brooks, a Black American woman who finally learned to choose herself. It started the week after the city's first big snowfall. I was closing out inventory at the Marigold table, the fine dining spot I manage, when my phone lit up with a call from my mother. Nia, dinner tonight. Everyone's coming. I checked the time, almost 5, and I still had a stack of supplier memos to sign. Saying no to my mother never felt like an option. What time? 6:45. Don't be late. She clicked off before I could breathe. I'm Nia Brooks, 32 years old, front of house manager at the Marigold table, upscale, always booked, great benefits, punishing hours. Most nights I don't see my apartment before 11. I drove out to my parents' snug 2-story place in Eastwood Park, the same house where my siblings and I learned to ride bikes and shell peas on the back steps. Through the window I spotted my older brother Andre with his wife Tasha and their 2 kids, Maya and Jalen. My younger sister Bree curled on the couch beside her boyfriend, Quentin. The house smelled like Sunday suppers from my childhood. Pot roast, garlicky green beans, whipped yams, the whole spread. We gathered at the scarred oak table that still showed nicks from science projects and domino battles. Dad barely finished grace before he turned to Andre. So how's the new role? Andre didn't need more prompting. He beamed and launched into the details. Senior client lead at his firm, bigger accounts, new team. Tasha chimed in about house hunting in a better school zone, and added that Maya was already testing above 6th grade reading though she was only in 5th. Mom glowed. Jalen, baby, tell Pawpaw about your winter concert. He piped up about the triangle solo. Everyone cheered like it was a Grammy. When the Andre show wound down, Dad pivoted to Bree. Quentin, how's the new position at the credit union? Going well, sir, Quentin said, glancing at Bree. And we've got news. He squeezed her hand. I asked Bree to marry me. The room burst like a shaken bottle. Mom crying happy tears. Dad clasping Quentin's shoulder, Andre whooping. Tasha asking for a ring close-up. The kids bouncing in their seats. When's the big day? Mom managed. Next autumn, Bree said grinning. Small but classy. We'd love to host both families for dinner next month. I kept cutting my roast into smaller bites. This was the rhythm I knew. First Andre and his impeccable life. Then Bree with yet another milestone. No one asked about my week, though I just secured the largest private catering contract our restaurant had booked all season. No one asked if I was seeing anyone. No one asked how I was holding up. Nia, pass the salt? Andre murmured without looking up. I slid it over. Fork, knife, smile. Repeat. Mom cleared her throat. Speaking of holidays, Nia, we need to talk about Christmas. Sure. What's up? We're hosting here, and it'll be larger than usual. Andre's in-laws, Tasha's sister and her crew, Quentin's parents and his brother and sister-in-law, plus our side, Aunt Dell, Uncle Ray, Cousin Patrice and her twins. About 24 people. Mom's eyes shone like she'd announced a royal ball. Isn't that exciting? 24 is a lot of mouths, I said carefully. You good to handle all that? That's why I'm asking you. Her voice slipped into that practiced sweetness she used for big favors. Since you work at that beautiful restaurant, I thought you could order the entire dinner from the Marigold table and have it delivered on Christmas Eve. Chef-made food, no stress for me. And I'm sure you can get a nice discount. All eyes dropped onto me like spotlights. I set my fork down. A full holiday banquet from our kitchen, with prime cuts, specialty sides, and dessert trio wasn't takeout. And our holiday pricing reflected that. Mom, that's going to be really expensive. How expensive? Dad asked. I did quick math. Hors d'oeuvres, 2 mains, 6 sides, bread service, 3 desserts, packaging delivery window. All in for 24. Around $4,050. Tasha's eyebrows shut up. Bree's mouth flattened. I took a breath. I can cover $1,200. The rest would need to come from everyone else. Mom's smile snapped. Nia Rochelle Brooks, I cannot believe you'd say that. You make good money, and you work at the restaurant. I'm a manager, not the owner. Even with a discount, which isn't guaranteed during peak season, That's a massive order. Family discount, Tasha said lightly, like she was suggesting extra napkins. I can ask, I said, but I can't promise. $1,200 is what I can responsibly put in. Mom's look could have frosted the windows. So you're going to nickel and dime your own family at Christmas? I'm telling you the real cost and offering to pay nearly a third. Bree leaned toward Quentin, not nearly quiet enough. She's always counting pennies. Heat rose up my neck. Come again. Bree flipped her hair. You don't have kids like Andre. You don't have wedding bills like us. You live alone in that little apartment. What do you even spend money on? Dad's tone went stern. Your mother is planning a beautiful holiday. The least you can do is help. I am helping, I said evenly, with a substantial contribution. That's not helping, Mom shot back. That's making your family scramble while you sit on your pile of cash. I looked to Andre. Thoughts? He shifted. It'd be tight, but if everyone chipped in... Silence swallowed a sentence. Mom stacked her napkin like a verdict. You know what? Forget it. You'll pay for the entire thing. End of discussion. You eat the food too. Consider it your contribution to Christmas. Dad nodded like the judge had banged a gavel. Andre stared at his plate. Bree studied her cuticles. My throat went dry. Fine, I said. I'll place the order. Delivery 5 p.m. Christmas Eve, Mom said briskly, relief already smoothing her face. I pushed the food around my plate until conversation drifted safely back to Maya's school play, Jalen's new toy trucks, and Bree's just-engaged glow. After dishes, I drove home gripping the wheel too tight. $4,050 for one night. But it was family, and as usual, I was the one expected to make the numbers make sense. The next morning I submitted the catering request at the Marigold table: herb-crusted rib roast, citrus-glazed turkey, 6 classic sides, artisanal rolls, 3 desserts, plus packaging and delivery. I authorized a $900 deposit to lock the slot. My boss, Mr. Hargrove, scanned the order and gave a low whistle. That's a spread. Big celebration. Something like that, I said, mustering a smile. He clapped my shoulder. Your people are going to eat like royalty. I nodded, then buried myself in work as December's rush ramped up. Corporate parties, neighborhood gatherings, date nights stacked end to end. I tried not to dwell on the bill I'd agreed to shoulder, reminding myself I'd been spotting my parents' mortgage for months anyway. $700 each month since Dad scaled back work and Mom's library hours were cut. Andre and Bree didn't contribute. Somehow, the math always found me. Between the mortgage help and the holiday feast, I was staring at over $3,000 to my family in a single month. Andre was floating a theme park trip for spring break. Bree was shopping venues. I was calculating margins and swallowing anxiety with my morning coffee. By the time Christmas week arrived, everything was confirmed. Prep list, pickup windows, delivery time, label trays, reheating instructions. I told myself this was what love looked like. Quiet, reliable, invisible. I still half believed it. Christmas Eve afternoon, I pulled on a red sweater and gold hoops, ready to head to my parents' place early to help set tables and warm trays. My phone buzzed with a notification from Family Loop, the app my mother treated like a personal press office. I opened it and felt my stomach drop. There they were in our living room, Mom and Dad, Andre and Tasha with Maya and Jalen, Bree and Quentin, everyone dressed to the nines in front of the glittering tree I'd helped decorate as a kid. I wasn't in the photo. The caption read, "Only my dearest loved ones. Merry Christmas from our family to yours." Comments were already rolling in. Aunt Dell wrote, "Beautiful. Where's Mia?" Mom replied, "Oh, it's fine, no one would notice." The words hit like ice water down my back. They could have waited an hour. I was on my way. Instead, they staged a beloved one's portrait without the daughter who'd spent the last month balancing schedules, invoices, and a $4,050 catering bill. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in my lap, sweater suddenly too warm. For years I trained myself to swallow the smaller slights, the way Andre's triumphs filled every room, the way Bree's milestones reset the family compass, the way my work only mattered when it could be used. But seeing it framed and captioned, in public, made the old ache feel newly sharp. I scrolled the photo again, then hit call on the Marigold table. "Marigold Catering," Chef Lila answered, voice bright. Everything's resting beautifully. Rib roast is a sculpture. Citrus turkey's glistening. We're packing sides now. Lila, it's Nia. I need to cancel the delivery. A beat of stunned silence. Cancel? Everything's ready. Trays labeled. Drivers on schedule, I know. I'm sorry. Charge me what you need to for the prep, but do not deliver to that address. Nia. Please, I said. I can't explain right now. Just don't send it there. I hung up before my resolve could wobble. Seconds later, my boss, Mr. Hargrove, called. Nia, chef says you pulled the plug. What happened? I told him. Not the decades, just the day, the photo, the caption, the comment that said I was forgettable. He let me speak without tisk ing, or attempting to fix my family. When I finished, he exhaled. I'm sorry they did that to you. Listen, you're not paying a dime. I'm refunding your deposit, and I'll place the spread elsewhere. A longtime client called this morning, last-minute emergency, asked if there was any way we could do a full dinner. Your order will save them. They'll take the cost at full holiday rate. I pressed my fingers to my eyes. Are you sure? As gravy. And Nia, I'm proud of you for drawing a line. When the call ended, the quiet in my apartment felt like clean air for the first time all month. I set my phone to Do Not Disturb, poured a glass of Cabernet I'd been saving, and queued up a stack of old holiday movies. I wasn't going to my parents' house. I wasn't going to stand in that living room, pretending everything was lovely while serving a feast I'd paid for with a smile they hadn't earned. Around dusk, my doorbell rang. I checked the peephole, one of our drivers holding a small tower of labeled boxes. This is from Mr. Hargrove, he said, grinning. He told me to say, Merry Christmas, Captain. Inside, a perfectly carved plate for one, slices of herb-crusted rib roast, roasted root vegetables, butter-whipped potatoes with a pool of gravy, a warm roll tucked into parchment, a wedge of chocolate silk pie in its own little tin. I laughed out loud, and then I cried, standing in my hallway with steam curling from a container that smelled like kindness. I plated the food, curled under a blanket, and ate slow, savoring each bite. With every forkful, the tension unspooled, line by line, like a bad script I finally refused to perform. For once, I let the season be quiet. No managing, no mediating, no math. Between films, I caught myself wondering how things were unfolding at Eastwood Park. Guests in their holiday best. Kids fidgeting. Someone asking when dinner would be served. Mom smoothing a table runner that didn't need smoothing. Dad checking the window, every 5 minutes, as if a van of miracles might appear. Then the part of me that always flinched, the fixer, started to stir. I straightened in my chair and set my glass down. No, I said to the empty room, softly but out loud. Not this year. I lit the cinnamon candle a server had gifted me, texted season's greetings to friends and colleagues, and left my family's messages unread. The city hummed outside my window, soft and distant, while snow remade the sidewalks into clean pages. I slept early and deeply. No lists running, no alarm set, feeling, for the first time in a long time, like my life actually belonged to me. Christmas morning, I switched my phone back on. The screen lit up like a slot machine. 61 missed calls, dozens of texts, all from my family. I opened the messages in order, watching their panic spool out. 5:42 p.m., Christmas Eve. Dad, where's the catering? They should be here. 6:10 p.m., Andre, Nia, food? Guests are waiting. 6:33 p.m., Bree, answer your phone. Something's wrong. 7:02 p.m., Mom called the Marigold table. They said you canceled. What is wrong with you? 7:45 p.m., Andre, you ruined Christmas. Tasha's parents are embarrassed. The kids are hungry. 8:17 p.m., Bree, you've lost it. Quentin's family thinks we're broke and tacky. 8:59 p.m., Mom, we had to send everyone to a fast food joint. On Christmas Eve, Quentin's parents left. Tasha's sister is questioning what kind of family we are. Humiliating. 9:40 p.m., Dad, I don't know what's gotten into you. You destroyed Christmas for everyone. I laughed, actually laughed, reading the part about them herding 20 overdressed guests to a drive-thru on Christmas Eve. I could picture Mom's stiff smile cracking as she told a table of in-laws that the holiday meal was combo boxes. For once, the chaos wasn't mine to fix. At 10 a.m., my phone rang again. This time I answered. Nia. Mom's voice blasted through, sharp enough to pierce glass. What the hell were you thinking? You humiliated us. You ruined Christmas dinner. Do you have any idea what people are saying? I let her rant about Quentin's parents leaving early, about Andre's in-laws whispering, about Jalen crying because he didn't understand why Christmas meant greasy bags instead of roasted turkey. Are you done? I asked when she finally took a breath. No, I'm not done. Why would you sabotage your own family like this? Because, I said evenly, I saw your family loop post. Silence stretched. What post? The one where you wrote, "Only my dearest loved ones." The one where Aunt Dell asked where I was, and you replied nobody would notice. Her voice cracked. Nia, that's not what I meant. You meant it enough to post it. You meant it enough to leave me out of the photo. You meant it enough to prove, in front of the whole family, what I've known my whole life. I don't count unless you need money. You misunderstood. No, I understood perfectly. My voice was calm, steady. If I'm not beloved enough to be in the picture, I'm not beloved enough to pay for the banquet. You're being ridiculous, Dad cut in. Am I? I've been wiring you $700 every month for a year to cover your mortgage. Andre doesn't contribute. Bree doesn't contribute. Just me. And when I offered to pay $1,200 toward Christmas, you called me stingy. You told me I should be ashamed. That's different, Mom said. Without your help, we'll lose the house. You have 2 other children. Ask them. Nia. I'm done. Starting January, no more transfers. No more emergency checks. No more treating me like an ATM while ignoring me as a daughter. You can't be serious, Mom whispered. Dead serious. Before either could respond, I ended the call and blocked their numbers. For 2 hours, I folded laundry and scrubbed my counters while my phone buzzed unanswered in the kitchen drawer. Around noon, a pounding at my door jolted me. I peered through the peephole. There they all were. Mom, Dad, Andre, Tasha, Bree, Quentin. Faces tight, eyes red, jaws set. The confrontation I'd been dodging had arrived. When I opened the door, Mom pushed past me like she owned the lease. We need to talk. They all filed into my living room, standing stiff as jurors. Nia, Mom started, her voice ragged. I don't understand why you did this. Why you ruined Christmas. Why you're threatening to stop helping us financially. I didn't threaten, I said. I told you what's happening. Bree crossed her arms. What's wrong with you? I stared at her. What's wrong with me? You called me greedy. You mocked me for living alone. You all sat silent when Mom captioned a photo that erased me. And now you're asking what's wrong with me. Dad lifted his palms. If this is about that photo, your mother already deleted it. You think this is about one post? My voice cracked with disbelief. Andre frowned. Then what is it about? It's about years of being treated like a resource instead of a relative. When was the last time any of you asked me how I was? When was the last time you celebrated something of mine? You don't include me. You include my money. Mom's tears started again. Without your help, we'll drown. Please, you can't do this to us. I walked to the door and pulled it open. Out. All of you. Nia. Out. Conversation's over. One by one they filed out. Mom sobbing into Dad's chest, Bree muttering under her breath. I closed the door, slid the lock, and stood there breathing hard. Then I walked to my laptop, logged into my bank, and canceled the automatic monthly transfer to my parents' account. For the first time in years, I felt something close to free. The 2 weeks after Christmas were a blur of missed calls, voicemail tirades, and guilt-dipped pleas. Not one of them came from my parents themselves, those I had blocked, but from everyone orbiting them. Aunt Dell left 3 long messages about keeping the family together. Uncle Ray called twice, muttering about how blood is thicker than water. Cousin Patrice texted paragraphs. Your mama is so torn up. This is breaking her heart. Please just make peace. Not one of them asked what actually happened. Not one asked about the caption, the years of being sidelined, the constant drain of checks and transfers. They wanted the problem solved, but only if I solved it by swallowing my pride and wiring more money. I hung up, deleted, blocked. My apartment was quiet again. My savings account finally stayed steady. For the first time in a decade, I wasn't bleeding cash for a house I didn't live in. 2 months later, I was finishing a stack of payroll sheets at the marigold table when Chef Lila poked her head into my office. "Nia, there are some people waiting out front. They say they're your parents." My heart jolted. Through the office window I saw them, Mom and Dad, side by side on the lobby bench, looking smaller than I remembered. Dad's shoulders slumped like his suit was 2 sizes too big. Mom's eyes were swollen from crying. I almost told Lila to send them away, but something in their faces stopped me. "Fine, bring them in." They entered quietly, like penitents, and sat across from me without being invited. Mom's voice was thin. "We came to apologize." I folded my arms, waiting. "The photo was wrong," she said. "The comment I made was worse. We should have waited for you. We should have included you. I deleted it, but that doesn't undo what I did." Dad cleared his throat. "We've been seeing a counselor. She made us write down everything we've asked from you this past year. The mortgage payments, the Christmas dinner, the emergencies, the errands. When we saw it all on paper, we realized how much we'd leaned on you and how little we'd given back." Mom's hands twisted in her lap. "We used you, Nia, and we are sorry." I stared at them. "That's the first time you've ever admitted it." Dad nodded. "We don't need your money anymore. I took part-time work at the hardware store. Your mother is stocking shelves at the market. We'll figure it out. What we want is our daughter back." Mom's voice broke. "We want to earn your forgiveness. We know we can't demand it." The words felt unreal, like dialogue borrowed from a family that wasn't mine. Still, there was no denying the wear in their faces, the tremor in their voices. I leaned back, arms crossed. "And Andre, Bree, they were angry at first," Dad admitted. "Said you were being dramatic, but after we told them about counseling, about what we realized, they listened." Bree cried. "Andre admitted he never noticed how differently we treated you. They both want to apologize, too." I let silence hang, watching their remorse pool in the air between us. Finally, I said, "I'm not ready to forgive you." Mom flinched, but Dad nodded. "We understand. We just wanted you to know that we recognize it now. We're working on changing. And if the day ever comes when you're ready, we'd like a chance to prove it." Mom lifted her eyes. "Could we at least call you sometimes? Not for money, just to ask how you are." I didn't answer right away. Part of me wanted to slam the door on this late-blooming remorse. Another part, the tired child in me, ached for it. "Maybe," I said finally, "but I need time." They left without pushing. My office felt strange afterward, still humming with their words. For the first time, they hadn't offered excuses. For the first time, they'd said sorry without asking for anything in return. It didn't erase the years, but it mattered. Spring came quietly, and with it a life I hardly recognized. For the first time in years, my bank balance held steady. Without the monthly $700 transfers draining my account, I was saving more than I thought possible. I even opened a travel tab on my laptop, pricing trips I'd once told myself were luxuries I couldn't afford. Jamaica, Portugal, a weekend in New Orleans, just because. Work thrived too. After the Christmas fiasco, Mr. Hargrove gave me a raise, telling me he admired how I had handled a painful personal crisis with grace and steel. The staff began calling me Captain Nia, half joking, half serious, because I kept the ship running even when storms hit. Somewhere between payroll sheets and late-night closings, I started seeing Darius, a supplier from the wine distributor. At first it was casual, coffee after deliveries, swapping playlists, but it grew. He met my friends, fit right in with the quick laughter and blunt honesty of our crew. For once, I wasn't hiding parts of myself, or making excuses, or carrying someone else's weight. Meanwhile, my parents kept their promise. Mom would send the occasional short text, "Thinking of you today," or "Hope work went well." No requests for money, no veiled obligations. Dad even mailed me a postcard from the hardware store break room, scribbled with "one day at a time." I didn't respond much, not yet. The wound was still tender. But there's silence where there used to be demands. Well, that silence felt like space to breathe. I caught myself wondering sometimes if I'd ever reconcile fully with Andre and Bree. They hadn't reached out yet, not directly. Maybe they were embarrassed. Maybe they were waiting for me to bend first, like I always had. But bending was over. What surprised me most wasn't their absence, but how little it hurt. Because the truth I'd learned was this: being alone isn't the same as being lonely. For years, I'd mistaken usefulness for belonging, checks for closeness, sacrifice for love. But when I finally stepped back, I discovered something I'd never let myself believe: peace feels better than permission. So maybe one day I'd forgive them. Maybe one day the Brooks family would gather again around that scarred oak table, with laughter instead of ledgers between us. But if that day never came, I would still be whole. At 32, I knew my worth at last. It wasn't measured in wire transfers or catering receipts. It wasn't tied to how well I could hold my tongue while others shined. It was in the way I stood my ground. It was in the quiet joy of saving for my own dreams. It was in the calm of a Christmas Eve spent with good food, a good movie, and no shame. For the first time, my story wasn't about being the afterthought. It was about finally being enough. Nia's journey shows that sometimes the bravest gift you can give yourself is walking away from what no longer values you. Family doesn't always mean love, and love doesn't always mean sacrifice. She discovered that peace, self-respect, and independence are worth more than any seat at a table where you're treated as less. If this story resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs the reminder that they deserve better. Drop a comment with your thoughts or your own story of standing up for yourself. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more powerful, real-life inspired stories about finding strength when the world tries to break you. Because you too are enough, and your worth will never be measured in what others take from you.